where does the idea of witches even come from? It's around the 8th century BC when we're first introduced to a quote-unquote witch. Now, according to Greek mythology, Circe was an enchantress from ancient Greece. Now, it was said that she was very beautiful, she was smart, and she lived alone on a beautiful island in the Mediterranean. Love that for her. But rumor had it that she was actually a witch. Not the ugly, green, warty witch we think of today. Nay, nay. She, Circe, was sexy. She was hot. Smoking hot. Men just wanted to feel her hot bod. When they saw her, they had this overwhelming sensation of lust. Men would visit the island, see her farm, see all of her land. And then they were caught off guard because all of a sudden she would start saying some random weird chants and stuff. And according to one story, Circe invited a bunch of sailors to a banquet like, "Oh, you've been sailing for a while, you must be tired. Come in for some ice cold lemonade." But little did the sailors know that Circe cursed the food with her magic. And she transformed all of the men into pigs. Yeah, actual pigs, like the animal, leaving them trapped forever in their new pig bods. So creating fear around women seems to have started all the way back with Circe because many believe they're up to something and trying to destroy men. But before TV, radio, Twitter, social media, all of that, ideas were shared and spread through the towns, the cities, the people, through art. One very influential artist in the Middle Ages was a German printmaker named Albrecht. He was a big deal because he was associated with all of the greats. I'm talking about all the Ninja Turtles, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, etc. Yep. He started out doing oil painting, portraits, self-portraits. He was an art machine. You may even recognize one of his most famous pieces of art, the praying hands. The hands that everyone has tattooed on them? Yeah. Drake used it on one of his album covers. Those hands. Anywho, Albrecht, he was also great at engraving beautiful art into wood. Oh yeah, it was really pretty. Churches would commission pieces from him. This man was just popping. He was everywhere. His art, people are loving it. They're losing their shit. And then he eventually moves on and starts making prints of his art, which is wild because prints weren't even a thing yet. One of his most famous prints depicted something quite terrifying. Something people haven't seen yet. What was it, you ask? Well, it was a buff-ass woman, she obviously lifts, who seemed to be commanding a creepy-ass goat. It was a witch. Now, this was a creepy-ass witch who was riding a devil-looking goat backwards. This woman is ugly, she's old, her titties are super low, but Albrecht would be the man, we think, for creating the witch we all know and think of today, like the old hag, the ugly witch. Don't come for me. That's just what he actually wanted this art to depict. It was an ugly hag. Before, some witches in mythology were more beautiful, like Circe, but again, this guy Albrecht was nah, witches are ugly. So he had a bunch of paintings showcasing ugly older women in his art. So this guy was probably just hurt by some woman, let's be honest. He was probably heartbroken and was I'm gonna get her. And all women ever, And it worked because these prints were pretty scandalous. They created a lot of fear in people to be wary of these sneaky ass witches. And by witches, I mean women. And when people are afraid of something because, fear, it can make people do some really crazy things. So let me introduce you to target number 1, our friend Helena. So the year is 1485. There were rumors going around town saying that this woman, Helena, killed a man's wife by using magic. Oh, shit. Word is spreading quickly, and people are believing it. Helena's reputation in the neighborhood was already considered outspoken, she was promiscuous, and she hung out with some sketchy people. That's what everyone's talking about. I don't know, I wasn't there, but that's what's said. So obviously, Helena gets fingers pointed at her. Everyone in town is calling her a witch. And Helena was swearing up and down that she was innocent and that none of the rumors were true, but she had a hunch where all of this was coming from. She does something bold and says, "Dear everybody listening to me right now, I'm not the witch. You're the evil one." The guy that was accusing Helena of being a witch and who essentially started the whole rumor was this man that Helena was accusing of assaulting her. And she was like, he's the bad guy. He's the guy that you guys should go over. So the man that Helena was pointing her finger at was a man named Heinrich Kramer. Now, Heinrich naturally did not like this woman who was making wild claims that he assaulted her. So he goes in harder, and he's not going to back down. It's what we know today as like gaslighting. This Heinrich guy was gaslighting Helena. Nobody was listening to her. She must have felt like she was going crazy. Everyone's calling her a witch. She's pointing the finger back like, I'm not the witch. This guy is the douche. Point the finger at him. It's just an endless circle jerk. So then Helena had to stand trial, and she was being accused of witchcraft. So how does one confirm that Helena is indeed a witch? Well, at this time, they couldn't decide and agree on what the definition of a witch was. Therefore, Helena was released because nobody could come to an agreement on what she was other than a loudmouth. Heinrich, the guy that was calling her a witch in the first place, was the prosecutor on this trial. And when Helena was released, he was pissed. It's said that he left town quite embarrassed and ashamed of himself. He couldn't show his face around town anymore because he was just seen as a loser. But sometimes being a loser can inspire you. You know, you improvise, adapt, and overcome. And Heinrich was ready for his redemption. And how was he going to get that? Well, by getting back at Helena. The best way to get back at her was by creating a way to universally identify, locate, and destroy witches. So Heinrich goes on a little writer's retreat. He spends some time away, like in a cabin. He's working on a book that he believes could possibly change the world. Heinrich, he ends up working with another writer, and together they bang out what would become known as essentially the witch hunting Bible. It's called Malleus Maleficarum, which translates to the Hammer of Witches. Yikes. Unfortunately, their little burn book comes out at the perfect time. It was soon after the invention of the printing press, so it was more widely distributed than really anything else, except for maybe the Bible. Yeah, this book was honestly a hit, and it was the foundation on how to find a witch, what witches did, what to do with the witch, like once you caught it, and why you should fear witches in general. Here are some highlights so you don't have to read it. So 1, how do you spot a witch? Easy. 10 helpful hints. 1, is she a woman? It was believed that women were much easier for the devil to tempt because obviously men are so big and strong and women weak. According to the book, midwives especially were witches because they murdered and consumed babies, allegedly. 2, does it look like a witch? The book mentions an old crone-like woman or an old lady hobbling along the road. If you spot that, that's a witch. Another way to locate a witch, put a Bible next to her. What happens? Well, according to Heinrich's book, if she stood on a scale and weighed less than a stack of Bibles, she was a witch. But this low-key was a trap because, look, in some places you were a witch if you weighed more than the Bibles. And then there were other places where if you weighed less than the Bibles, you were a witch. It was just a lose-lose situation, you know? The only way you could be found innocent was if you matched the weight of the Bibles exactly. That means you're not a witch. But okay, you know, it's just, what is this? Come on, nobody wins is what I'm getting at. Another sign if she's a witch, I'm saying she because let's be real, it's always a she. Does she talk to herself? A person was potentially a witch if she, specifically she, not he, if she was caught talking to herself. Oh yeah, witch. Oh, and does she have a mark? More specifically, a mole or a wart. Now this didn't have to be on the face, it could be anywhere on the body. So the accusers could strip you naked and search your whole body for like a mole, a wart, a mark. Hot. If any woman tried to get the mole removed, the scar was enough to prove that she was a witch indeed. The mole or birthmark was believed to be a sign of a witch pact. When confronted with this evidence, you could be hanged and burned. Isn't that scary? Just a mole? God damn it. Here's another way to find a witch. Does she have freckles? Ah, if a woman has freckles, she would be pricked with a knife, blade, or needle. If she didn't bleed, witch. Now the catch with this one, there were official prickers. Yeah, people who were officially the prickers. And they would use knives with retractable blades to make it appear a woman was stabbed, but no blood would be found on her. And they'd be like, oh, she's a witch. Side note, I think they invented the retractable blades for this. And isn't that magic? Like, where did the blade go? None of it makes sense. Another way to identify a witch. Could she recite the Lord's Prayer? It was believed witches could not say holy words. Oh, shit. So these quote-unquote witches would be asked to recite the Lord's Prayer without mistake to prove their innocence. During one witch trial, there was a woman, she accidentally said, quote, "Lead us into temptation," end quote. She forgot the not, lead us not into temptation. So she was hanged, you know. Yeah, lead us into temptation. Girl, what a way to mess that up. So let's just do a little recap on what we learned. You weigh less than a stack of Bibles, witch. You weigh more than a stack of Bibles, you're a witch. You got a weird mole, you're a witch. Are you talking to yourself? Witch. Stutter during prayer time? Witch. Bleed out of your vagina? Witch. Breathe? Witch. You know? So in Heinrich's book, this MM book, I'm gonna call it MM because I can't say Malamanavishingi. So his book, there's a big emphasis on how witches had a, shall we say, intimate relationship with the devil. Oh yeah. They followed all of his commands, allegedly, but witches, they could even sleep with the devil and have like a big old evil satanic orgy. Yeah, that was in the book, that witches are having orgies with the devil. I know, sounds like fun. Where do you sign up, you know? Like, huh? But that's kind of where a lot of the fear was brewing from. Because at this time, the church was really starting to put a heavy emphasis on the devil being bad, which kind of sounds silly, but before this, the devil was seen as just kind of like a trickster. He would pull jokes on people like, oops, tripped you, you know, like, I'm the devil. Now the devil was seen as building an army of witches, and they're coming for you, they're coming for men, they're coming for everything. So there's just a lot of fear, okay? Fear that the women are coming and the devil. So there was another section in the book that was all about what witches did with penises. Very specific. It was very bizarre too, because they had a lot of weird like penis fear happening at this time. It's bizarre. But essentially it was believed that witches would steal a man's penis, and then it's kind of cute. They would keep the penis as a pet. You know, feed it, take it on walks, put it in a box. Literally, this is what they believed, that witches were taking penises in the middle of the night, putting them in a box, and you guys all better watch out because it was a war on dicks. According to the book, this was all because, quote, all witchcraft comes from carnal lust, which in women was insatiable. Many believe that women were super horny, the witches were super horny, and that they would take the penises and control a man's penis. So if a man acted horny or did something bad, it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was under a spell. He was digmatized, being controlled by a witch. So it's like, even if a guy fucked up and like cheated on you and like slept with your neighbor or something, they'd be like, well, the witch made me do it. We're always to blame.